In today's lesson, I'm going to show you a foolproof way to solo over any chord in any song, as well as a really useful and practical way to add new color to your playing. We're going to cover a couple of real-world situations, and I'll provide some solo examples to demonstrate my approach. My name is Jack Ruch. Welcome to my channel. Let's get into it. So as guitar players, we love our pentatonic scales, right? The minor pentatonic, the major pentatonic. These are great ways to build licks and melodies and start navigating our way around the fretboard. And honestly, there's a ton of songs where just playing licks and melodies out of these scales works perfectly for building solos. But every once in a while, you're going to encounter a chord in a song where just playing stuff out of the pentatonic scale doesn't quite work. It doesn't quite give you the sound you're looking for. And this is because some of the notes in that chord maybe rub against those scales. And so it's really useful to be able to, in situations like this, identify what notes are in that chord and be able to play those notes in your lines to really outline the sound of that chord. And that's where having a few arpeggio shapes under your fingers really comes in handy. So to demonstrate this, we're going to use a couple of tunes that I play all the time in my band when I'm playing live, and I use this kind of approach where I'll be thinking kind of pentatonic based licks, and then when a certain chord comes up that I know needs special attention, I'll use an arpeggio. So this first chord progression we're going to go over is from the song Precious Child, which I play with my band. And this is all diatonic to the key of C major, right? The chords are going to be C major to E minor to D minor, and then like a 4/5, like an F over G, right? So C major, E minor, D minor, F over G, back to C major. And it's going to do that 3 times, but then on the 4th time, it's going to go up to a D7, right? And this is the chord that really needs special attention because this isn't diatonic to C major. Normally C major would have a D minor chord in it, right? But when we make it a major chord, we move that F note up to an F sharp, right? And that's not in the C major scale or the C major pentatonic scale. So in a situation like this, it's really useful to be able to play the notes of this D7 chord and know these arpeggio patterns, right? Right, all these arpeggio patterns around the neck are going to give us the chord tones to that chord to really outline the sound of it. So as we're playing, you know, in the C major kind of tonality, right, we can play nice melodies over all those chords, and then as soon as that D7 chord comes, we can, you know, outline the sound of that chord, and then back to our C major. So I'm going to play a solo now that I worked out over this chord progression, and it's going to stay really strict and simple to the C major pentatonic scale. And then when that D7 chord comes, I'm going to use a couple of different D7 arpeggio shapes to outline that chord. So check it out. I'll play the solo down, and then we'll kind of talk about what I'm doing. Okay, so in that solo, I kind of start out playing out of this C major pentatonic pattern right here, right? Right, which is kind of jumping between and right, all of these different pentatonic boxes, right? Kind of sliding around through them, but it's all really strictly within that C major pentatonic tonality. And then as soon as the D7 chord comes, I use this D7 shape based around like this A bar chord to outline the sound of that chord. And it's really simple. Just as simple as just playing right up the arpeggio, right? It can be a really useful thing. There's nothing wrong with playing straight up an arpeggio or straight up a scale. They can be really musical devices to just stick to that, especially when you're going from something kind of melodic and you know, spaced out kind of licks to then playing sort of a nice run of notes that really just define that chord. So the second time through the solo, I kind of move the whole thing up the octave and I'm kind of playing out of this position, right? And then when that D7 chord comes around again, I'm playing out of this E bar chord shape. Right, so a really, really simple approach. And again, this is something that I use all the time. You know, obviously on this channel, I've talked a lot about playing over changes and outlining every chord and really knowing your chord tones. And that's super important and useful. But a lot of times when I'm playing simpler songs like this that aren't, you know, harmonically as challenging as maybe other things, you know, I'm just thinking about building melodies out of the major scale, you know. And then if I know a chord is coming up like this, I can just quickly access the notes of that chord by really knowing these arpeggios. And then I can be right back to my C major sound, right? So now we're going to go over another tune that uses the same kind of approach, another tune I play all the time in my band. But this is going to do the same kind of thing, but over a minor chord. So this chord progression is going to be in the key of B flat, and it's going to be kind of a bluesy B flat 7 sort of thing. So this is sort of the main tonality, this B flat, like a blues, you know, where the kind of the main one chord is a 7 chord. So for that, you know, again, I can play the major pentatonic scale, or I can play like a mixolydian or a dominant scale. Right. But the chord progression is going to go from B flat 7 to B flat 6, and then to an E flat minor, and then to B flat major, right? This kind of descending. And that E flat minor has that G flat note in it, right? And that note is going to rub against the B flat major or B flat mixolydian scale because it's not in that scale. So that's where we need to kind of address this chord. And obviously we could play E flat minor, like an E flat minor 7 arpeggio is nice, but I also like to, over minor chords, play out of the relative major. So instead of playing E flat minor, you move up 1, 2, 3 frets and play out of a G flat major 7. Right? That's going to give you more of like an E flat minor 9 sound, right, with this F on top. Right, so that's a really nice sound over that chord. And again, we can just sort of plug this in and use it as we're playing, right? Playing B flat major. And then right, so I'm going to play a solo now that I worked out where I do this kind of thing. I'm going to play strictly kind of within that B flat 7 or B flat major pentatonic tonality, and then when that E flat minor chord comes, I'm going to use this G flat major 7 arpeggio. So in this solo, I'm kind of playing right out of this kind of B flat major sound, right? Almost B flat major pentatonic, but I'm adding the 4th in there. Right? And then the first time this E flat minor chord comes, I'm seeing this G flat major 7 voicing right here. Right? And just being able to access all those notes and then get back to that B flat major sound, right? So right, it's a really useful thing you can just kind of plug in and use, and the better you know those arpeggio shapes, the easier it is to do this stuff. So the second time around, we kind of move up, and I'm playing here sort of out of this position for the B flat, right? And then when it comes to the G flat major 7, I go up here. And again, resolve to notes out of that B flat major thing. And the final time, you know, we're up here. And we're playing our B flat major thing. And then again, I just do another G flat major 7 arpeggio. Right? Right, so just knowing these arpeggio shapes, right, around the fretboard, and you know, you can take this at your own pace. You can learn a couple of them and learn a few ways to kind of get in and out of them and incorporate them in your playing. But I'm going to have the tabs for these 2 solos as well as these 2 backing tracks available up on my Patreon page. So go over there and check that out. If you want to practice this kind of thing. These are good song examples to practice this kind of thing, because you can kind of get started just sort of jamming along, playing some pentatonic, melodic, kind of bluesy phrases, and then use these chords as opportunities to sort of get these arpeggios under your fingers and get them happening. So as always, I want to thank you guys for watching. Thanks for joining me on my channel. Go check out my Patreon page And until next time, take care and happy practicing. Okay, guys, bye.